All right, now let's look at how we're going to use this to help us solve problems. So when I look at this problem, it gives us this angle 28, and then we look at what two sides it gave us. So the box points to the hypotenuse, and then the side way over here is my opposite side. So if I think about that saying, some old hippie came around here tripping on apples, we have O and H. That's going to be sine. So that's how we know which one to use. So sine 28 equals, and it says put opposite over hypotenuse, so x over 19, and then we cross multiply. So we get x equals, and on my calculator we do 19 times sine 28. So on my phone calculator I do 19 times 28 sin equals, and that's for the iPhone. Now Androids, I believe you can do 19 times sine 28 equals. But whenever you do that, you're going to get 8.9. All right, let's look at this next example. So we have 41 as my angle. The side way over here is my opposite side. The box points to my hypotenuse, which we're not using. There's no number there. So the other side is the adjacent side. So again, we think about some old hippie came around here tripping on apples. We have O and A. That's going to be tangent. So tan, the angle is 41. And it says put opposite over adjacent. Again, we cross multiply. So x equals 32 times tan 41. So on my iPhone, 32 times 41 tan equals. Androids, I believe you just do 32 times tan 41. Chromebook calculator will work as well. I think you put it in 32 times 41 tan, but you might flip that around. It might be 32 times tan 41. You're going to have to play with that part. But you end up with x equals 27.8. So that would be my final answer. All right, looking at the next one. Here's my angle. The box points to our hypotenuse. The side way over here would be opposite, but there's nothing written on there. That means my other side is the adjacent side. So we have A and H. That's going to be cosine. So cosine 21 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, cross multiply. So x equals 26 times cosine 21. So 24.3. Again, depending on what calculator you're using, it's either going to be 26 times cosine 21 or it's going to be 26 times 21 cos equals. But once you do it, you should get 24.3. All right, next example. Here is my 55, my angle. The side way over here that doesn't touch it is the opposite side. The box points to the hypotenuse, so we don't need that one. That means this is my adjacent side. So opposite and adjacent. O and A is tangent. So tan 55, because that's my angle. Opposite over adjacent. Cross multiply. X equals 8 times tan 55. And I'm going to get 11.4. All right, few more examples here. All right, looking at my angle. The side way over here is the opposite side. The box points to your hypotenuse. So O and H, that's going to be sine. So sine 33, because that's my angle. Opposite over hypotenuse. Now look, this one's different. This time the letter is on bottom. All right, when that happens, instead of multiplying, we're going to end up dividing. Because when we cross multiply this, it's not going to give me an x equals. We're going to have to divide this time. So when this happens, take 15 divided by sine 33. So you're either going to do 15 divided by sin 33 equals or 15 divided by 33 sin equals. Just depends on what calculator you're using. But you should get 27.5 when you actually work it all the way out. All right, so here's my angle. The box points to my hypotenuse. The side way over here would have been the opposite side, which has no number. That means this is the adjacent side. So A and H gives me cosine. Cosine 43, that's our angle. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Again, the letters on bottom, that means we divide. So 36 divided by cos 43. And that gives me 49.2. All right, I know how much you guys hate problems that are a little bit more difficult, but we're going to do one letter at a time. So let's just look at X. Here's my angle. The side way over here would be my opposite side. The box would point to our hypotenuse, and that means this is my adjacent side. So O and A gives me tangent. So tan 72 equals opposite over adjacent. All right, letters on top, that means we're just going to multiply because we get X equals 3 times tan 72. That gives me 9.2. Again, you have to play around with the calculator you're using. It's either 3 times tan 72 equals or 3 times 72 tan equals. So it just depends on how you put those numbers in, but you should get 9.2 as your answer. All right, now let's look at the next side. So we're still using the 72, but now we have adjacent and hypotenuse, so A and H. So this time we're going to use cosine. So cosine 72, that's still the angle we're using. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Notice this time the letter's on bottom. That means we have to divide. So 3 divided by cos 72. So that's going to give me 9.7. So y equals 9.7. So again, just play around with the calculator and make sure you know which order you have to put it in. All right, that brings us to our last problem. So it says you are measuring the height of a flagpole. The angle formed by the top of the pole and the ground is 64 degrees. Estimate the height of the pole to the nearest hundredth. So here is my angle. The side way over here is my opposite side. This would be your box, so this would be the hypotenuse, which we don't need. That means this is the adjacent side. So O and A, so some old hippie came around here tripping on apples. O and A is tangent. So we're going to have tan 64 equals opposite over adjacent. Letters on top, so all we have to do is multiply. So 19 times tan 64 is going to give you 38.96 feet. It did say round to the hundredths, so we had to have 2 decimal places. So that would be my answer. So that should walk you through everything. The biggest thing is making sure you know what side is opposite, what side is adjacent, and what side is hypotenuse. And then using your some old hippie statement here to figure out which sine, cosine, or tangent you need based on the sides that you were given. So the worksheet today, there's 2 parts. The first side is all about still just lining up the fractions and then filling in the clue at the bottom. And I do want you to put like the answer next to each one so I know you did it. And then on the back side is problems like what we just did. So you're going to find like a missing side. You're going to have a couple problems where it makes you find the X and the Y like we did on example number 10. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me and I'll be sure to get back with you. Thank you guys. Hopefully this helps a little bit and I'm here if you have questions.